Hi there, I'm Aki from Aki Gaming, and welcome to another episode of My Waifu or Husbando is Better Than Yours. Each episode, we will be putting two heroes into the spotlight and see who reigns supreme over the other. First, they will be judged by all of their attributes, which includes their stats, weapons, skills, etc. Then, we will put them into a battle simulator to see who's the better one when head-on. Not only that, we will be also giving them their best possible skill build and put them into the ultimate mass battle showdown to see who will be crowned the winner of My Waifu or Husbando is Better Than Yours. Let's not wait any longer and introduce our contestants. Standing on the left corner, a thief from the Dawn Brigade, the overprotective brother figure to Bakaya, the Zephyr, Sothe! And standing on the right corner, the Hoshidan Prince with remarkable marksmanship, the mochi tossing soup lover, Takumi! And here we go, the second time in MWIBTY history, dagger vs dagger, more like dagger vs mochi. Anyway, who will be crowned this week's winner? Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rumble? Round 1, Stats and Skills. Let's start with their base stats total. Sothe has a BST of 151, and Takumi's BST is 152. Takumi takes the first point. What about their rating after weapon and skills? Sothe's total rating is 165, and Takumi is 164. Sothe equalize 1-1. Next is their hit points. Sothe has 39 HP and Takumi has 40. Takumi takes the lead again. Let's look at their attack now. Sothe attack is 36 plus 14 and Takumi is 34 plus 12. Another equalizer by the Zephyr, 2-2. What about their speed? Who is the faster unit among the two? Sothe has a speed of 33 and Takumi has 34. Again, 2-3 to Takumi. Now, let's look at the defense. Sothe has 22 points in defense and Takumi has only 17. Once again, Sothe even the score. Last, their resistance to magic damage. Sothe has a resistance of 21 and Takumi has 27. Another point to Takumi. After comparing their stats, Takumi is currently leading with a score of 3-4. Sothe could still make a comeback with his weapons and skills. First, let's look at their weapons. Sothe wields the Peshkaz, a curved throwing knife that has a might of 14. It inflicts a -4 on all stats on target and foes within 2 spaces of target through their next action after combat if it initiates. At the same time, Sothe and allies within 2 spaces gets +4 on all stats for 1 turn too. As for Takumi, he has Kagami Mochi, which is a stack of glutinous rice cake. Come on, how are you gonna fight with that? Choke your opponent to death by stuffing the mochi down their throat? Okay, let's get back to the program. Takumi's weapon has a might of 12 and has the ability to accelerate trigger count. It also inflicts a -7 defense and resistance on target and foes within 2 spaces through their next action after combat whenever he initiates. Not only that, it also could be refined to boost his stats. So, whose weapon is better? I would have to give it to Sothe for the insane area buff and debuff. The score is once again tied. Next, their special. Sothe has Glimmer that grants a +50% to damage dealt with a cooldown of 2. As for Takumi, he has Moonbow that resolves combat as if foe suffered a -30% on defense or resistance with a cooldown cost of 2. Glimmer vs Moonbow. It will take a while if we really want to debate which is better. TLDR, Moonbow is slightly more useful than Glimmer. Hence, this point goes to Takumi. Now to their passives. We won't be comparing their passive in B or C since one of them doesn't have it. However, we will still go through it. In slot C, Sothe has spur attack speed that grants adjacent allies attack and speed +3 during combat. As for Takumi, he has Bow Breaker in slot B, a skill that allows him to make a follow-up attack to bow user but foes cannot. Okay, now what's left is passive A. Sothe has Life and Death, an offensive skill that boosts the holder's attack and speed +5 by deducting defense and resistance by 5. How about Takumi? He has Attack Resistance Bond that boosts his attack and resistance by 5 by staying adjacent to an ally. By referring to Game 8, Life and Death is rated higher than Attack Resistance Bond. So, the last point goes to Sothe. And that's the end to round 1. With a score of 5 against 5, I hereby declare round 1 to be a draw. Takumi did better than I thought. My initial thought was a landslide victory for Sothe. Anyway, let's move on to round 2, head-on fight. I'm going to use the FEH damage calculator by Andu Krandu. First, we are just going to let them brawl with their default skills and IV with no buff. Let's have a look at the result. It seems no one gets to one round KO their opponent. However, whoever initiates first will be taken down in the following turn, as both of them left with very little HP. But since we are only looking at one round of combat, it's a draw. How about we give them some skill inheritance? Disclaimer: the build shown later might not be the best build for them, but it's optimized for higher kill counts. For Sothe, Peshkaz, Life and Death, Vantage, Spur Attack, Speed, Glimmer, and an Attack Seal. For Takumi, other than his refined weapon, the rest will be similar to Sothe. And the result? Both gets to one-hit KO their opponent. However, they could prevent being KO by equipping a distant defense seal. If so, they will get to KO their opponent during counter attack. Which at the end, is still a draw. With no clear winner in the round 2, again the result ended in another tie. Before we proceed to the final round, let's recap back the result. Both Sothe and Takumi did not manage to get any win after 2 head-to-head fights, and it seems it all boils down to the last round. Who shall be crowned the winner? Would it be the Thief of Dawn Brigade or the Prince of Soup? Let's find out in round 3, Mass Battle. For this segment, we will be using the same damage calculator as round 2 to calculate how effective are they against all the other heroes. Instead of looking at only their kills, we are going to consider their draws and losses too, and the result will be in the form of percentage. Here's the formula. First, we will calculate the result with their default build. And Sothe draws 69, loses 33, and wins 117. What about Takumi? He draws 78, loses 74, and wins 67. Let's convert it to percentage. Sothe winning rate is roughly 20% more than Takumi. Why is there such a huge difference? It's mainly because of Takumi's A skill requires an adjacent ally to be active. If that's the case, shall we assign him to an adjacent ally? And here's the result. Takumi draws 65, loses 52, and wins 102. It's definitely closer, but Sothe still has the higher winning rate. Now, what if enemies attack first? Would the result be any different? And since we already know Takumi needed ally to be useful, so we are just going to look at the result with that. Sothe draws 54, loses 43, and wins 122. On the other hand, Takumi draws 71, loses 39, and wins 109. After conversion, Sothe is still ahead with 68%, which is 2% higher than Takumi's. Hence, the default fight goes to Sothe. Now, let's move on to their most offensive build. Would Takumi be able to outperform Sothe this time? Let's look at the result. Sothe draws 35, loses 10, and wins 174. As for Takumi, He draws 19, loses 17, and wins 183. In percentage, Takumi's winning rate is 0.5% higher than Sothe. What if they defend first? Would Takumi be able to hold on to it? And here's the result. Sothe draws 23, loses 45, and wins 151. As for Takumi, he draws 17, loses 42, and wins 160. After conversion, the Prince of Soup still has the battle rate of 76.9% compared to Sothe with 74.2%. Very close score, but the inheritance fight goes to Takumi. With that, the result of the last round concluded in another stalemate. And ladies and gentlemen, with all 3 rounds being held to a deadlock, the final result of this episode, My Waifu or Husbando is better than yours, ended in a draw! Whoa, what a matchup till the end! If not because of this episode, I never would have thought Sothe and Takumi are so competitive. Their stat spreads and weapon easily makes them the top dagger units the game has to offer. However, Sothe is available in the 4-star pool and has life and death tree at 4 stars, compared to New Year Takumi, which is a seasonal unit that would most likely only come back in some special banner at 5 star. So, what's your thought on the result? Who do you think should have been the better Husbando? Let's discuss. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Aki Gaming for more interesting content like this. You could also leave a comment below to suggest who would you like to feature in a future episode. By the way, in order to increase viewers' engagement, I'm going to add a poll for you to decide the matchup. The poll result will be final 5 days after this video launch, and the winning matchup will be featured in the episode a week later. Thank you for watching, and to those that are celebrating the Lunar New Year, I wish you a prosperous and happy year ahead. Till next week, ciao.